Hi everyone, I'm Rubina A Khan and welcome to the 7th edition of Rubina's Radar. It's a little bit of a landmark of sorts because the fashion series was started exactly a month ago on January 20th with Rohit Bal. And who better to converse with tonight than the person who created New York Fashion Week and puts the F in fashion worldwide, Fern Mallis. Fern knows and is known to possibly every fashion designer in the world, from India to the Americas to Europe to Korea, from you name it, from Anita Dongre to Christian Siriano to Marc Jacobs to Ralph Lauren to Tom Ford to Victoria Beckham to Zandra Rhodes. I mean, it's a mouthful. Yes, we know. And she's interviewed over 50 designers for her Fashion Icon series of the Y. So straight from New York, it's Saturday Night Live of another kind with Fern Mallis, everyone. Hi, Fern. Good morning.
Good morning, Rubina, or good evening to you.
You're looking great.
Thanks. I'm trying to
Thank
trying
you
to
for
look
your
good
time.
you. Excuse me?
This is a Saturday Night Live of a very different kind because we're only going to talk fashion and all things fashionable.
Okay. Let me make this a little louder. Okay.
Should we go?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, so you've retooled your legendary 92Y conversations that are going to be beamed digitally and are already being beamed digitally, called Fashion Icons, the Archive, that debuted on the 92Y's YouTube just ahead of New York Fashion Week. How did that come about?
How did that come about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. But can you hold 1 second? I'm going to grab my ear pods to make it a little
Sure.
louder. Okay.
Sure.
Right there. Okay. Okay.
So you were telling us
I've been
how
wanting
that came
to.
about.
Pardon me?
So you were telling us how that came about digitally, your real life conversations on digital.
Right. Well, the world has gone digital. I mean, everything is digital now. And during COVID, when this pandemic struck, I mean, it was just crazy how everybody was looking for content everywhere. Everybody was home listening to podcasts, watching TV, binge watching everything under the sun. And people have been asking me for 8 years, why can't we see your interviews? I wasn't able to be there. I read about them or I heard about them or I couldn't get a ticket to them. And we kept waiting to figure out what the right thing to do was. And all of a sudden during COVID, it was like, let's go back to 92Y and talk to them about coming up with a strategy and making it digital and making it available and making it accessible, because we do have the content. I mean, it's all there. These are the definitive interviews for many of these people, their entire
Right.
lives and careers.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. We had a few logistical things to have to work out, but we're doing it very slowly and, like I said, strategically. We started with three of the icons, and the first three we picked were because they were ones who really have made careers out of standing for something and believing in issues that really matter. And we've broken them up into three parts so that you can see the entirety over 3 weeks. So you keep coming back, and then we've created something called the edit, which is a story that will come out each month, um, about a subject that relates to several people that I talk to. So you'll get a clip from somebody here and a clip from somebody there talking about, in this past issue or edit, it's about working for Ralph Lauren and how so many designers work for Ralph, and they all call it Polo University.
University, yes.
So it's fun. And the next one is going to be about International Women's Month, and it's going to be girl power, and it's going to feature three women designers who exemplify girl power.
Right.
And then we're going to do something on TH35, which is Tommy Hilfiger's 35th anniversary in business, and also celebrating in March his 70th birthday. So there'll be there's no shortage of subjects.
Right.
Studio 54 is one that we're going to do at some point, because
It'll be wild.
Everybody I interviewed almost on the stage talked about Studio 54 and the influence it had on their life, or or how it ruined their life, or how they stayed up too late and had to get to work in the morning, straight from Studio 54. So so there's great content. I'm very proud of the content, and the reaction so far has been great. So I hope everybody listening who wants to see these will tune into the YouTube channel. And the easiest way to do it, everybody, is go to my Instagram page and go to my bio in the Instagram and just hit the link there, and it takes you right to my content, one after another. It lists it very clearly.
Yes.
Because even I have a hard time navigating everything, but that is perfect.
Okay. So you've made it easy for a whole new audience to come by.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's
so
and
comes to my next.
Also,
sorry, go ahead.
No, and it's exciting figuring out who to do next, and editing some of the clips. I work with a really dear pal and associate who's so good, PC, who we find the right thing that somebody said to use as the hook to get you in. There's a lot of fun things going on.
So, which brings me to my next question: what has the response been so far? I mean, the videos have been up since like 10 days now, or should I say, how many views have they got?
I should have the answer to that, but I don't. But I know that it's about 30% higher than we expected, than we projected for. And so everybody's very, very pleased.
So I'm contributing to that 30%.
Yes, you're part of it, Rubina. Help me. You're driving traffic there. No, it's great. It's I'm very pleased with it. This whole series, Fashion Icons, with Fern Mallis, over the last 8 years and 9 years that it's been, I'm almost more proud of that series than I am of creating Fashion Week. Because this is a legacy that about these people. These are the definitive interviews of their lives and careers. And I luckily had probably the last interview with Oscar de la Renta before he passed away.
Yes.
And talking about everything from growing up in the Dominican Republic, and the dewdrops from the flowers in his mother's garden that he thought he'd make fragrance from. And he realized he'd go out early in the morning and capture the dewdrops from the flowers and put them in a jar, but that's not how you make perfume.
Obviously.
And then when he was a successful designer and did launch his first fragrance, it was a dewdrop, and there was a dewdrop embossed onto the bottle as a reflection of him remembering to do that.
That's
I love those stories.
Yes.
And Bill Cunningham, the iconic New York Times
photographer. Really like a fixture on the New York fashion scene.
The world fashion scene in Paris and London, Milan. I'm sorry I never got him to come to Mumbai.
Really?
He would have had a ball there.
Really?
He would have used the film than anybody in the world there. But that anybody who was at that interview with Bill still talks about it. It was so memorable and so important. And we all cried. It was so iconic.
And now he has a street, and he has a New York street sign on his name.
No, that didn't last. That was only temporary after he died.
Oh, I thought you all fought for it and it was permanent.
No, it should be. It should be.
Yeah, it really should.
Yeah. So it's going to take time to get to see more and more of these interviews, but we're in no hurry.
Right. Of course.
But I am hoping maybe by the end of the year, when Broadway opens again and is allowed to have people in the theaters, that's when the 92Y will be able to have an audience again in their audience, and we'll start up again. Because a lot of people have asked me why I haven't done new ones digitally, on Zoom. And as much as I enjoy doing that or talking to you right now, the interviews, when you're interviewing somebody wonderful and there's an audience there who loves them, and they clap and they laugh and they sometimes shout out things to the my guests. There's so much love and energy in the room. I miss that, and
The energy.
you don't get that on a Zoom talk.
Right.
You don't even look each other in the eye.
Right.
So I've resisted doing that.
Fair point, though. Fair point.
Yeah.
So you've written Fashion Lives, Fashion Icons with Fern Mallis in 2015, chronicling the lives of American greats, fashion greats. Is there a sequel? Because you have told me, but I think for people listening in, I think you should explain that.
Yes, there is a sequel coming. There's volume 2, and there's probably going to be a volume 3.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have enough for volume 2 and 3. And
Wow.
Signed the contract with Rizzoli, who designed and published the last book. And it will be released, God willing, if everything keeps moving along as it is, next February 2022. And I'm very excited about it. We're working with Nordstrom's, the department, the great stores, are going to be behind it with us. And it's going to be 15 interviews. I can't tell you who they all are yet.
Well, that's my next question. You have to leak one name.
We're getting the releases. The releases are coming in, but I will tell you. I'll tell you some who are definitely in it, which are very exciting. This is going to be a little more international this edition. So we've got our releases from Rosita and Angela Missoni, Bob Mackie, Billy Porter. We were just on the phone yesterday with Victoria Beckham's team, and
I was just coming to that because she missed by a whisker being in the first book. So I just
she's very, very excited about it, and
marvelous.
So we're really, really thrilled. We have Tim Gunn. I have my pal Stan Herman. And there's a few. Arthur Elgore, the photographer, who was such a fun interview. I mean, there's going to be.
With a very, very attractive son who's a great actor.
And so.
Yes. So these are the names we got.
That's all I can tell you, but it's going to be great.
But that's a lot. That's already a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's more than I've. It's more than I've told anybody else. Somebody's going to call me up later and say you shouldn't have said that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I obviously now want to know, how do you go about deciding which fashion designer icon is going to go into the book?
Well, I mean, hopefully they'll all be in the books. There's just so many you can get in a book. So we're trying to balance it out. Because it's not rocket science.
Okay, this is a question I need you to answer, because this word is very loosely used in India, across the world. Everyone's an icon. Like, you were born and you become an icon. So I need you to explain to people what goes into the making of an icon, whether it's fashion, whether it's an actor, any creative arts.
Well, I think somebody who does something their way and does it a little differently, leaves an impression, makes their mark, stands for something, somebody that we admire or want to emulate. I think it's a loosey-goosey, definition. I feel like it's what the Supreme Court said 100 years ago about pornography. You'll know it when you see it. It's like, you'll know if somebody's an icon or not.
Yeah. That's what I feel. It's a feeling. I don't think words can texturize people. I think you just feel it. That you're in the presence of somebody that's radiating something.
Yeah. I think there's some people who think they're icons and probably aren't.
No, please. We know many of them. Lots of them. Lots of them. So this brings me to another question, which I think I only want you to answer. I don't want the answer from anybody. If anyone knows the abstract magic of New York Fashion Week's front row, it's you. So how does watching live streams of shows compare to the magic of watching it live?
The answer is very simple. It doesn't. Nothing compares to that. It's impossible. I mean, even Tom Ford said I think it was in an IG Live with Vanessa Friedman from the New York Times, that we've just had two of the most painful, I'm paraphrasing now, but it was something like two of the most painfully boring, dull fashion weeks known to mankind. I mean,
I read that.
I mean, I have so much respect for the designers, and especially in the last year, starting last February, March, into this collections that they did in September, to now these weeks that they've been doing shows. For the most part, they've all put together collections, working on their own, working at home, working without their studios, working without all of their loyal, trusted staff and their suppliers, and the factories were closed, and the sample rooms were closed, and you couldn't be with anybody. People were shut down everywhere, and yet they were able to produce collections and put clothing together. I don't know how, and they were able to mask up and get things fitted on models, and then produce a movie or a lookbook or something. They have to do that. They're in business. So I applaud them for that. But watching it all day long, sitting in front of a computer, just doesn't for the same reason that I don't want to do my interviews on, virtually. You need that that energy in the room. You need that buzz. You need that people feeling, this is great. You want that pulse that happens. I mean, to me, the most exciting moments in fashion are when you're sitting, and it doesn't happen so much anymore, even when it's live. But from my tenure through the tents, when the two folks come down the runway just before the show starts and peel off the plastic that covers the runway, that's like, yes, it's ready to start now. And that's you get that rush of adrenaline. You don't get that sitting in your computer. And in fact, I've just been to a doctor this week in New York to talk about lower back pain and numbness in your foot a little bit and things like that. And she showed me a chart, and she said, this is what we've been seeing in this past year. She said, we've never seen more people. And at the top of the chart was about people sitting in a position slightly leaned over. She said, this is the world sitting all day in front of a computer or leaning over on their working with their iPhones. Because when pre-COVID, yes, you'd be at your computer, but then you get up, you go out for lunch, you go down the hall, you go meet with somebody else, you go talk to somebody, you go take the bus, you go take a car, you go to an event, you come back, you do this, you do that. Now people are just paralyzed, sitting in one position all day long. And it's doing irreparable damage to their bodies. Forget their minds. It really has repercussions. We have to get up, we have to walk, we have to do something. And I mean, I know that I keep looking on the computer. There are a lot of shows that have been happening, but I mean, am I going to get up at 8:30 in the morning to just sit at the computer and watch somebody do 5 minutes of dancing in the street on some set? I mean, the good news about them doing them digitally, I think, is that you can watch them at any time.
Anytime, yes.
And that's really, and that's what's happening, because it's not even just a week. Many people have extended their showtime till next week and the week after and later in the month. And so eventually we'll get to see what everybody's doing, but it's not the same as sitting in a front row or sitting in the third row, at a show.
Or any row.
Any row, for that matter, exactly.
I've always wanted to ask you, but I don't know why I never did, that if you don't like a designer's collection, right, off a show, or maybe they've sent you a lookbook, I don't know, do you tell them what do you really think, or do you go polite test on them?
I think you go polite test is a nice word. It depends on who it is, and it depends on your relationship with them, and it depends on if they really want your opinion or not. A lot of people.
And most don't. Yes.
Most don't. But there are some people that I love and adore, and if I think that they went a little too overboard, I'll I'll try to gingerly say something that brings them back to reality. But you know, I try to be as diplomatic as possible. Let's leave it at
Right.
that.
So you've been an executive director of the CFDA. What do you make of the current CFDA chairman, Tom Ford? I know that you get along fabulously, but what do you think of the
Well,
changes he's making and turning the industry around in his own way?
well, I think that Tom's a terrific guy, and he's. Uh, I think when he took the position, he had no clue what that the world was going to change so
Right,
drastically. I mean,
right.
not a clue. Nobody did, of course. And you know, and he is based now in Los Angeles. You know, the seed of the industry is in New York. You know, he's just changed I guess, the name of the calendar from New York Fashion, Week to the American fashion collections, and I think that that's appropriate. I mean, they've always been the American
Yeah.
collections. You know, even though it's been in New York, even when I was running shows, we had
Hmm.
designers from Italy, from China, from Hong Kong, from Spain. I mean, everybody came to New York to show in the tents. Um,
Right,
so it was not. It was in New York. It was New York's Fashion Week, but they were, the collections from all over. So
right.
it's American fashion collections is almost too small. It could be the international fashion collections.
True.
New York is a global, um, you know, um, country, global city. So I think that that's fine, and I think that the CFDA has grown immeasurably since the 10 years that I, you know, planted seeds and nurtured everything.
Hmm.
And I think that they have a lot of ambitious goals, and I wish them all the best of luck. They're addressing the, equality and diversity issues in the workplace, and they're dealing with a lot of governmental issues, and they've got their hands full.
Hmm.
And
So where do you
I wish Tom the best of luck with all of it. I want him to succeed.
right? He's a great guy. I mean, he looks great too. And I love that interview at the Y. He was fabulous.
Yeah.
Where do you think fashion weeks stand globally?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, they still exist around the world.
No, what I mean is evolving, the carousel of evolvement. How are they going to proceed? Is it going to be digital for a while? Is it going to go back to brick and mortar? No one knows. I guess you
Well, I
will.
think that Well, I think London is starting now, and I think that they're doing a mixture. I mean, even in New York, there were a few live shows, so to speak, but there were
Right.
like 25 people in the audience. Um, I think in Europe, they're going to have more live shows with people attending. So
So like
we'll watch
outdoorsy shows. Outdoors.
outdoors or in big spaces where, I mean, even last season, you saw people in Paris at
Yeah.
shows, and
Yeah.
everybody has to decide for themselves with what they're comfortable
Sure.
doing and feel safe with.
Yeah.
And so in some countries, the government will decide for you
Yeah.
what's allowed and what's not. I think
Yeah.
that this is still a very iffy year for more people getting vaccines.
Hmm.
Um, but yet there are still mass gatherings of people in places that we don't know, the super spreader events. It,
Mm.
I mean, if you were invited to a place to be in a room with a 1,000 people close together in seats, do you feel comfortable doing that?
No.
Okay, so that's the answer.
Yeah. I guess.
Everybody has to decide for themselves what works.
Yes. I think it's more a health and life decision now.
Yeah, it's not a vanity decision. This is your life you're dealing with now. Do you want to risk
Yeah.
your life to see a fashion show?
Yeah. I guess not. Yeah. True. So, what do you think is next in fashion? And I mean, there's so much talk about changing the way fashion has been over the years. So, do you think we'll see more smart fabrics, more tech in fashion, like, designer laptops and things that we are using from work from home situations? I think we've already had telephones and mobiles. So, I'm not sure, but this is something I want to know. Do you think smart fabrics will become the thing?
I think that they already are the thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think the technology has been extraordinary, and technology is at the forefront of everything. And there are companies that have been so high tech. I mean, the Ralph Lauren company has been using fabulous fabrics for breathability and for athletes, and and
Yes.
all of it starts a lot with the athletic community and the athleisure, which now athleisure has become the home base of what people are wearing in this last year. So I mean, in the American designers like Yoli and um, so many others have all been using interesting textiles and developing textiles and working with that. The sneaker companies, the Nikes and of the world. I mean, all of it is technology based about using new new new
Fabrics.
new materials and fabrics. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So will digital access, which is 24/7, give rise to copies versus referencing and paying homage to the greats? Like there's a plagiarism situation all around, but do you think digital will invite more of that?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Will digital invite more plagiarism?
Yes, because when there was a runway show, then the copies would come a little later. But now because it's all live and it's all streamed, and then it stays on a system, so there's more access to sort of plagiarize and copy some great designer's work and pass it off as your own. So do you think this would give a rise to another kind of problem?
No, I don't even want to go there and think
Okay,
about that. No,
yeah,
no,
it's true.
no,
I don't even know why I asked that. Really,
no.
it's not a pressing issue. So let's come to some fun questions. You played yourself seated front row in the first Sex and the City movie. Are you going to be in the so very talked about and just like that movie, which is the next one, without Samantha and Big? And I think you should be.
I mean, Rubina, that's an adorable question, but that is so completely out of how. Who knows? I don't even know. They haven't even started that movie yet. I think they just announced that it's something that they're going to do. Because I also know
Yeah.
that when Broadway starts up, um, Sarah Jessica and her husband were in Private Lives, which was a complete sold out Broadway run that I literally had a ticket to 2 nights before Broadway shut down, or 2 nights after Broadway shut down, I guess. So I know that they're going to have to do that. So I don't even know when they're shooting this, and let me tell you, I don't have a SAG card, and I'm not looking forward to run. I'm not anticipating or expecting that at all. I don't look for me in that movie. And if I
No,
have a cameo in there, you'll be the first to know. I hope not,
thank
but
you
it'll be fun.
for
It'll be
feeding my
fun if it is.
voyeurism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when you
I,
come to
I
New
said
York, just
pre
go
COVID,
visit.
you've been.
When you come to New York, just
Yes.
go visit Sarah Jessica Parker's shoe store, because it's in the old space on 54th Street, and she's there quite frequently.
Uh huh. Yeah, I've seen your pictures with her. You walked into her or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, she's there.
that. Hmm. Well, it's the whole vibe, actually. It's not just her, it's the whole of it. So, pre COVID, you've been living your life, I'd like to call it glam size, flying private with Cindy Crawford to
That was
Toronto,
a long
hanging
time
out with
ago.
Lady Gaga, Ruth Bader
That's
Ginsburg,
great.
Oprah, Jennifer Lopez follows you on Instagram. I mean, the stories that you have with your social life, I think that deserves a book. So, I'd like you to weigh in, please.
All I can say is Instagram is not real life.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
know that.
we all have to put a little bit of a lid on the Instagram. We all manage to find the best pictures, or a fleeting picture that you had with somebody somewhere, or some pleasant
Hmm.
memory, and put it out there. But nothing is what it seems. I mean, I'm not complaining. I've had a very interesting life, and I've had a lot of opportunity to do things and go places and travel. I what I miss most about since COVID is not being back in India. I mean, normally I'd make 1 or 2 trips a year to India, and that's killing me that I haven't been there now for a couple of years. Um, but eventually at some point, I would love to do a different book, a biography, about my life, and as a little bit of advice and you know things that young people starting their careers and women could learn from, lessons learned
Mhm.
along the way that would
Right.
inevitably come out of that kind of
Yes,
reflection.
that'd be
If
great,
I
actually.
can discipline myself enough to really sit down and do that. It's hard.
So, your homes are veritable museums, really, with fashion artifacts, collectibles, limited editions of things from all parts of the world. It's all a part of your interiors, very cash, but not. So, please explain your inherent style for home and your fashion sense.
It's something I don't really think about, but it's an eclectic. It's a little bohemian. It's a little bit of elegant. It's just the things I like. It there's a lot of color everywhere, but yet there's a neutral palette that supports that. Um, I mean, I'm a collector, and I'm terrible about getting rid of things and throwing things out. So I tend to have more as opposed to less. Um, and I like the mixture. I like mixing things up. I mean, this week we've
Mhm.
reorganized all the bookshelves behind me, and my friends came in and helped me rehang things in the office to get lots of artwork that was leaning on the floor up on the walls. And um, I like being comfortable. That's important, and I like it to look good. And I can't say there's a specific name or style for what I do. It's
I think Peter Davis just wrote in a comment, he says, you're Bohemia Luxuria.
uh, thank you, Peter. I like that Bohemia Luxuria. Yeah, it is that. It's just a mixture of all those things, And in this office now, I mean, I we just hung up 2 pictures that I had here framed, but hadn't hung them up. That they were written and signed to me by Zandra Rhodes, the British designer, who did 2 beautiful drawings when we were on the Queen Mary together, crossing for their first inaugural Fashion Week crossing from
Mhm.
England to New York. And she did beautiful watercolor of the Statue of Liberty at the just as we're passing it early, early,
Wow.
early in the morning, and another beautiful one of the smokestack underneath the bridge, the Verrazano Bridge in New York, and they're all written to me. And I was, now they're finally up on the wall, and I'm really happy about that.
Wow.
Um,
So yeah, that's what I
it's
mean.
comfortable.
The little fashion museum of sorts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The inception of India Fashion Week. So you want to tell people about how that happened and over the years you've been coming and going, sitting front row in India Fashion Week ever since it started.
Well, when I joined IMG, which was in 2000, uh, we were doing New York. IMG bought 7th on 6th, the New York Fashion Week, the 10th, which I'd been doing for 10 years. And then when IMG bought it, we looked at ways to leverage the team and use us more all over the world and all over the place, everywhere. And the truth is that IMG had one season of Lakme Fashion Week in Mumbai at the Taj. It was at the hotel, and it was Ravi Krishnan, who was the head of IMG India for sports, fashion, everything. They had all come to New York and, unbeknownst to me, looked at everything that was going on, studied everything there, and brought some of that energy back and did a very interesting week in India. And once I joined IMG, I joined in it was July in the summer, and the very first thing on the agenda for me from my boss was, in August you're going to India, you're going to Mumbai, and I'm like, you crazy? Like, really? And I mean, it's a long story, which I won't even talk about, being with an issue with health and everything. And my doctor said, if you're going to be anywhere in the world right now, you're better off in India than in England. They have better doctors. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And anyway, I came to India, and I fell in love with India the minute I got off the plane. And at that point, the airport was the old airport, with like mountains of paper and people stamping things, and just really just a mess. Um, got to that hotel in the middle of the night, because you arrive at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it felt like Grand Central Station. It was so busy and active. Everybody was partying, music blasting, and I met the team and everybody there, and it was instant love affair for me. The next morning, it was a breakfast to meet all the designers who were, many of the designers who were showing, and then there was another event with them at the top roof of um, oh God, what's the restaurant a few blocks away where they do brunch on Sundays, and um,
Indigo.
Indigo, thank you. Rooftop brunch at Indigo with the designers and with all the various journalists and players, and I got involved and instantly started to stick my 2 cents in. Like, we got to move all these plugs and wires that people are tripping over. That we had to neaten up things. We had to put ropes and stanchions, and let's create a step and repeat wall and move the photographers over here, because otherwise they're going to kill you. The paparazzi in India are like worse than they are in New York, as you well know. Sometimes you're part of them. And just trying to get those pictures. And well, you're not that kind. You get your special pictures, but it was just trying to help organize things. And then we would bring over each season some of our lighting designers from America, our show producers, and then we started bringing over journalists and retailers and people to come over to expose them to what was happening in India, because I just was so enamored of the quality of the designers and what they were doing, and we got a little bit away from all bridal and get to more westernized clothes. And I think I was there at a pivotal time, seeing people evolve and getting to meet the designers, and everybody from Sabyasachi, who nobody knew of when he started there. We were all like, oh my God, what did we just see? To Tarun and Rohit and Manish and Raghu, all the people, everybody, that you've been interviewing. They're an extraordinarily talented bunch of people. I did do an introduction or a forward or something for Tarun's new book, which I don't know if that came out because, of COVID and everything. I was hoping to come back for that. But, the world kind of hit the pause button for a while.
Yeah, I guess you'll come around to it at some point.
Yeah, and so, India, Lakme Fashion Week was a fabulous opportunity and experience. And it's unfortunate that after a couple of years, the designers in Delhi with the FDCI decided that they wanted to have a different sponsor, and they didn't want IMG involved at that point. And I mean, the politics of it were just ridiculous, and they really made some silly mistakes, which I think hurt the industry more than helped it. And created 2 fashion weeks. There was one in Delhi and Bombay. And luckily, thanks to people like Anil Chopra who were at Lakme, they said, let's do it anyway and keep it in Mumbai. And there were 2 weeks competing, and that was unnecessary for the country. It should have had a more unified, spectacular fashion week for the world.
Maybe they'll become one now. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. So you've already stated your love for India. You've been very vocal about it, and you've been romancing the country for years now. You love Indian fashion, you love Indian food, but without cilantro. And Bombay is your favorite city in the country. So, why don't you tell people what are your favorite things, places to do in the city, which you love so much?
Oh, I mean, that's hard to talk about now because it's been a few years that I've been there, and so many things have changed, and so many new restaurants have opened. But I do love staying at the Taj Palace, and if you go there, my picture's on the wall in the coffee shop. Standing there
Mhm.
with Calvin Klein and Donna Karan, who I brought over for a Hindustan Times Mint conference. So that's always fun. Uh, but I love staying there. I love being able to walk around from there and going to my Popley and Sons and jewelry stores, and I love going to Melange and to Ensemble, and seeing Tina, and I mean I love. I'm a shopper. I mean I'm wearing one of my Indian scarves today. Um,
Right.
and the restaurants that I mean they changed so much since I started going to India. And the first time I went,
Yeah.
I would be terrified to eat at a restaurant outside of the hotel. And now every great restaurant, I mean, sushi and food from everywhere around the world. I mean, the restaurants are spectacular.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I can't go to Mumbai without stopping at Trishna and having, the butter
Yeah.
crab, the garlic butter crab
Yes.
and the fried okra. I mean, I tell everybody I know who goes
Yes.
to India, you have to go and eat there.
Right.
That is, I mean, have they been open during this pandemic?
Yes. In fact, somebody invited me to Trishna, and I'm not sure whether I wanted to go because it's like our thing. I never really go there except when you come on your yearly visits. So the last I went was in April 2019 when you were here. So yes, I believe it's like with the distance seating and all of that. But I haven't really eaten at a restaurant since. I mean, since
Yeah,
the pandemic. I'm not
yeah,
sure I'm
and
going
then
to.
and then I will always love going to Goa with my friends who all have houses there. It's India's Hamptons, and it's
Yes.
instead of driving there, you just take a short flight. But
Yeah.
but that's such a special place also, and there's a special place in my heart. My
Yeah.
my pals who are there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I I
Yeah.
I love India. People just can't
Yeah.
believe that I've made so many trips there, and even
Yeah.
you said, was it the Peter Davis that wrote on something? I mean, he came to India with me, and
Yes.
a lot of people
Oh wow.
had their first
Yeah.
trips to India.
With you. So you're like an
Well, with
Indophile.
me to go
Indophile.
to Lakme Fashion Week. So
Hmm. Right. Oh yeah. I forgot that part. I just thought everyone's holiday.
now
Sorry.
I do have several friends now who are begging me to organize trips to India, like a shopping trip sponsored by
Hmm.
me to take them all around. They all want to go, but they're afraid to go. A lot of people are
Mm.
afraid to go to India, which is so insane. But
Yeah.
one of these days, it's on the post-COVID list of things to do.
Oh yes, indeed. You know mine, where I would fly to. It's gonna be like this. You this
Where,
way,
where do you
yeah,
where do you want to go?
where you
The
are,
U.S.
where you are, always. So I have had the great fortune of eating food cooked by you in your house. And I think you're a fabulous cook and a very fast cook. Like I didn't even know that you were making lobster and it was so swift and so tasty and all of that. So during this entire period of isolation, did you cook a lot? And if you did, then what is the one dish you kept making to comfort you or
Oh my God, cooking is all we did. I mean, really. I mean, COVID
oh,
has put an extra 20 pounds on me and everybody else because you couldn't go to restaurants. I mean, the groceries and the markets, even out in my house in the country, were delivering food to people, and then you would mask up and go to the markets, were the only places you'd go to get food, and eating and cooking was how you killed a lot of time, and
yeah,
you went through stages of, well, why not? Who? No, I'm not seeing anybody. Nobody's coming. And we're not going out. Not socializing. So what if I'm eating all this fattening food? and so we did that. And, and I like cooking. So, and then at a certain point, you really got tired of putting the dishes away,
Yeah.
washing them, putting things in the dish. Every day it was washing dishes, putting them away, cleaning stuff, putting things back in the cabinets, taking things out. It got to be tedious after a while, but I love it. I mean, cooking is very nourishing and very, it's showing love to other people and to myself. But I've also watched many of the designers here in America, in New York, have all taken up cooking during COVID, and they all have now new websites. And Philip Lynn has Eat Your
Okay.
Bellies or Not Love You. It's just extraordinary watching what he's cooking. Laura Kim is Toki Bun Bun on Instagram. She's the designer with Fernando for Monse and Oscar de la Renta. I salivate at the things that Laura makes. The most beautiful food in the world. I mean,
Wow.
follow her on Toki Bun Bun. Jason Wu has Jason Wu Eats. He has a channel.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach
I mean, his
Posen
show
put
was
out
about a general
a
store and
yeah,
Coca-Cola.
exactly. So, Zach Posen has the cookbook out. I mean, all the designers have been nonstop cooking, and a lot of the Asian designers have been doing unbelievable. And I have to say, I've watched on Philip's channel, and my new favorite thing to do is to make the eggs the way he's showed to make them. Unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
In a wok or a really good pan, and you put an oil down that's really can take the heat. So it's like a safflower oil or sunflower oil or avocado oil or something, and get it really, really hot. You scramble up a couple of eggs when the oil, and you could put a little scallions or chives or something in it if you want. Or sometimes I put little pieces of spinach and feta, and you pour that
Mhm.
onto the oil, and it blows up like a pancake so fast. Gets very airy and gets very
And
crunchy
fluffy.
and dark on the bottom. And if you're really good with a good spatula, you can kind of get under it and flip it a little bit, and it cooks it. It's the most delicious eggs you've ever had in your life. So anybody listening,
Wow.
try that, and then thank Philip Lynn for it.
I don't think I can make them, but I think they
You
seem
can. It's
very
so easy.
seductive.
It's so easy. The easiest thing in the world to do.
Okay, I'm gonna try it since you say so. So, what is the emotion that you felt most during lockdown? Was it longing? Was it nostalgia?
It's a lot of things: longing, nostalgia, fear, anxiety.
Hmm.
My brother-in-law passed away from COVID back in end of March, who was a world-renowned architect doing, embassies and federal buildings everywhere, designed Boston City Hall. Um, I've lost
Yes.
several friends. One of my most favorite security guards from Fashion Week, who's been there for 25 years since the beginning, Tom Carney, the man he's the first one you'd see every time you went to a show, full of
Wow.
Irish laughter and smile, and he knew who everybody was, and he was a real pal. And he also way back at the beginning, before they even knew how to treat people, they didn't know what was happening.
Wow.
He passed away from COVID-19, and several other friends and people who I knew and respected and loved, from Terrence McNally to the archaeologist Iris Love to you name it. So I mean, there's the fear factor involved. Nobody,
Right.
everybody was very suspect. I mean, I've gotten one vaccine. I'm still waiting to get my second one, and
Hmm.
that's going to be in the middle of
Which one did you
March. And
take? Which one did you
Moderna.
take?
Moderna was
Moderna.
what was being
Yeah, a friend
distributed
of mine in
to
California
me.
took that too. She's taken Moderna too.
And there's a nice sense of relief when you get the first shot, and I can't wait to get the second. But people are still cautious. Even I have many friends who've gotten both shots now, and they're still not quite sure they want to be around a lot of people.
Mm.
It's you have your bubbles. There's a bubble here in New York with my neighbor and my colleagues, and the country. I have little bubble there, but then you're not really sure where they've been and who they've talked to,
Right.
and
Yeah.
this is such an unbelievably horrifying, scary
Right.
disease, and to think, I can't wait to see the movies and books about this down the line, because
Oh yeah.
it's one thing to think you're suffering from that in your country, but even when I saw pictures of Marine Drive without a car on it, and streets in
Imagine.
India empty, I was like, how did
Imagine.
that happen? I can't.
Right.
The
Yeah.
concept of India being shut down was more than
I know.
my mind could comprehend. And
Yeah.
this was global. This was worldwide. This was not
Yeah.
just here. And that
Yeah.
coupled in America with our elections and all the Black Lives
Mm.
Matter protests, and taking
Yeah.
over the Capitol building, and with the insurrection, and I mean, there's just been like, stop. I feel like, stop the world. I want to get off. I mean, it's just been
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
And that all of this happening in a pandemic. I mean, where I live in New York, the neighborhood up here, I mean, there are more empty storefronts than there are full ones. Some of our favorite restaurants have all gone out of business. They'll never come back. It's shocking what the repercussions of this virus have been.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to take a very long time for it to come back to any semblance of what we knew.
Absolutely.
The familiar
But
is like very unfamiliar now.
but yet, the statistics are such that the luxury market is doing extremely well.
Yes.
Business is very good, because people are saying that people aren't taking their vacations. They're not flying. They're not going out to eat every night. They're not, renting cars and limousines and what have you. So there's lots of money to be spent. So people are shopping online, and everything is direct to consumer. And so, it's a different world out there now. But
Yeah.
businesses are doing well. God knows the Amazons and Walmarts of the world, and Targets have done are. I mean, the business is phenomenal. It's
Yeah. I don't know what
it's
we'd do without
crazy.
Amazon in India.
Amazon here. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
as much as
Amazon
we
is
want to hate,
indispensable
much as we
right
want to
now.
hate, yeah, as much as we want to hate it, it's really been a lifesaver.
Oh, big time, big time. So, like you said, you've been cooking and you've been staying in your bubble. But what have you been wearing at home? Are you wearing COVID pajamas? Because I hear they're new designer COVID pajamas. They're a thing. They're a thing now.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not wearing COVID pajamas, um, but I'm wearing a fair amount of leggings that are comfortable, and a lot of oversized hoodies that just feel soft and comfortable, and a lot of oversized soft sweaters, you know, flats and slippers, no tight shoes and heels, and it's just a matter of
Yeah.
being comfortable. At the beginning of
Yeah.
at the beginning of COVID, I mean, I was in pajamas a lot, because back January of last year, I had my shoulder replaced, that major surgery. And so that kept me in for like 6 weeks with a
Mm.
sling and recovering. And then I was literally out for a couple of weeks, and it was Fashion Week, and it was a few things. And then March, everything shut down again.
Right.
So, I think it's just about being comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from the waist down, God knows what people are wearing everywhere.
And do we even want to know?
Yeah, probably not.
No.
Probably not. But
Not
COVID has.
I wish I could tell you the stories, but yeah, no.
I'm sure. But casual
Offline.
casual has become the buzzword, and there's not a lot of men I know who really are anxious to put a suit and tie on again.
To quote, I want to quote this designer, which I think you know is Christian Cohen,
Hmm.
the young Spanish designer. So for everything that he considers like big, he'll say, "Oh, that's mage. That's mage." So I guess casual is mage,
Age.
like major.
Okay.
He says it really well. He's a very articulate guy. So the way
Okay.
he says mage, I can't do it. But yeah, so I guess casual is mage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and yet designers are still showing beautiful evening wear, and there's going to be, I guess, the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards, and all. Whether they're an audience or not, these people are going to still put on beautiful dresses and gowns and wear them, be photographed, whether it's, on you're watching it on your TV or on your computer.
Phone.
So, I mean, there's still a need for that, and stylists are still working, I guess, dressing these celebrities for those prime publicity appearances.
Right.
But otherwise, there aren't a lot of big benefits and galas where people are buying clothes to get dressed up. But the fashion industry has always been about aspiration and inspiration, and and I think people want to buy something new and want to dress up a little bit just to go, phew.
It's so important now.
Just to say, I survived. I'm out of this. Okay. It'll be slow and steady, but the industry lost a lot of businesses and a lot of designers and a lot of shops, but I think that, the ones that are hanging in there and toughening it out, I'm rooting for them all.
So obviously, I think I know the answer, but I'm still going to ask you, what's the first place you'd like to visit once the world opens up?
Well, how can I not say India?
Right.
So
I knew it, but the people have to hear it from you, So
yeah, somebody has to invite me though.
Yes. So I don't know why Instagram is giving me a time limit, so I'm going to quickly rush through the last two. What can you not resist in life?
I've
never had a time
people,
limit.
Friends, family.
Right.
People I love, seeing all my grandniece and grandnephews, and my
little ones,
all the little ones.
Right. Okay, so the last question is going to be like a funny sign out. You can choose not to answer it though. So, what do you make of Kanye and Kim's divorce? Given he went on a rant some years ago, which made headlines for days globally, for something you never really said. I wanted to meet you for dinner. And of course, you did go.
Yeah, I don't want to waste our last question talking about Kanye. Thank you, Rubina. I mean, really, who cares?
So that's what I said. The choice is yours. So I'm not sure why it's telling me it's only 1 minute left to I don't know what, because I wanted to take some questions from people. And I'm just going to try, but I'm not sure I can do it because it's saying something like seconds remaining. Hi again. I'm so sorry that got cut off so unceremoniously, but I've done a longer one with Rohit. I do not know how. He gave me a time limit. Maybe it's a new thing.
Well, I don't know if anybody's going to still join or if everybody's gone off, but maybe some people are still there.
Yeah, but the questions went, the ones that went the first one, so they don't stay. That's the
okay. But
so what are you drinking?
I'm thinking that I need to clean up my fresh flowers that are here on the table, and I need to go find Dimples under the bed, and I need to get in my car and drive for 2 hours out to my lake because I've been in New York for a week and I'm missing the country now, and it's all snowy, and then I'll be back in the city again in a couple of weeks.
So it was so good. Thank you so much for this hour, and today is 1 month of this conversation series. I started January last on 20th.
Do you have them saved so like I can go back
I'm putting them on YouTube.
See them?
Yeah, I put them on YouTube, and I also keep them on IGTV.
Okay.
So I'm making a little Instagram archive.
Good.
A little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll communicate about that offline.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, and everyone who's tuned in. Thank you. This was a fabulous Saturday night, and one that I've really enjoyed.
And for me, it's Saturday. And for me, a Saturday morning kicking off the weekend. But remind everybody to go watch Fashion Icons of the archive.
Yes, I will.
Yes,
I already am. I can't wait for the second book.
Yeah, and the next episodes are all coming out this week on the digital icons.
Okay, fab. Good to know.
The book, don't hold your breath. It's going to take a year, so it's coming.
Yes, you said February 22.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Lots of love.
All
to
right.
you.
Bye,
Thank you as
everybody.
always.
Bye, Rubina.
Miss
Lots of love.
you.
Lots of love.
See you
Say
soon.
hello to India for me.
Yes.
It comes out
I
on
will scream tomorrow morning. Fern says hello.
Wednesdays are when the new episodes come out on
Okay.
my digital series.
Okay. So that's 4 days
Okay.
from
Okay. Bye, everybody.
today. Bye.
Stay
Bye.
safe and healthy and wear a mask and get a vaccine if you can.